Hello everybody, welcome back to Hard Enduro Media, episode 3 of the Lightweight Adventure Bike project. If you've not seen the first 2 episodes, in episode 1 we talked about the bike's history, how the idea came about to build a rally style 2-stroke bike, and in episode 2 we looked at wheels and wheel building, and as you can see we've got 2 wheels on with no tyres or tubes at the moment. Since then we've done a few other modifications to the bike which I'll talk about now. First of all, we fitted a PDS bush on in the swing arm, a genuine KTM item. I tend to like the OEM KTM bits because they tend to last longer than some of the aftermarket products, so I try and always go for KTM OEM parts where possible. Secondly, we fitted some swing arm guards on, some plastic swing arm guards. Now these were listed as a fitment for a 2017 bike onwards, but they will actually fit on this era of bike with some just very slight modification. We had to make a modification just under here where the chain block is and the chain block protector, and also up where the chain guide is underneath. A very minor modification on the left hand side. On the right hand side no modifications at all, but you can tell there has been a change in design of the swing arm at the back here. You can see it's slightly different, but overall we've got protection of the swing arm. The other items we fitted are the chain block, the BRP Moto chain block. I found it to be very robust. I've got it on both my other bikes, the EXC F250 and the 300 TPI. And the chain block swing arm protector on top, that's a genuine KTM part. I've also fitted a new chain, a DID chain, with a new front sprocket, a 14-tooth front sprocket, and we've got a 50-tooth sprocket on the back. So 14-50 gear ratio I find will be quite okay for trail use. If I start doing big hill climbs and going a bit more technical, then we'd have to look at the gearing and probably go on to a 12 at the front. But as a 14-50 is going to be quite adequate for the type of riding that I'm going to be doing on this bike. So there's some nice subtle upgrades there on the bike, making this bike look that a little bit more modern. Moving on, we've got some tyres. We've got some Metzler 360 mid-soft tyres. I've got an 80/100 21 front, and I've got a 110/100 18 for the rear. Put that back. We've also got some Lucioli tubes to fit. Now everyone's got their own personal opinion, preference on tyre inflation systems, mousses, inner tubes, tyre combinations. I totally buy that, and you do what's right for you from your riding style, your experiences, etc. I totally dig it. Now if you remember, these are 7mm thick and they've got rim locks built into them. So we're going to fit these today on the rims down here. I've got a back and a front to do, and we'll go through the process. Now I've done this process before, but it's always nice for people that are new to the scene to see what actually goes into the fitting of these. And I've got some different tyres today as opposed to the Mitres tyres that I normally fit, which are a soft carcass. The Metzler trail tyres that I'm putting on are a little bit harder, so these might be a little bit more difficult to fit. But we'll go through the fitting process and the benefits of having these in your wheels. So to do that, we're going to go into the workshop next door, because things might get a little bit dirty with grease and things like that. I don't want to get the studio all dirtied up, so let's go into the workshop. So we've got the tubes on the bench here. I'm just going to go through a few things before we start fitting them onto the rims. and obviously they come folded up, so I'm just going to carefully just take this tape off and unwrap them. Now in the wrappings you'll get 2 valve caps, and inside that is the actual valve for the air chamber, so keep that somewhere safe. Put that to one side to start with. And as you can see, the tube is quite thick, so it's 7mm thick. It's got a rim lock here built in and another rim lock here, and then the valve there. I'll just take these thread protectors off. Now the tubes come with a standard 8mm nut on for the rim locks and a washer, which I'm not overly keen on. I prefer to use the KTM rim lock nut, which is longer and it gives more protection to the threads. So that's the tubes unpacked. I'm quite happy with them. We're now going to put them on the tyre changer, match them to a rim and mark some holes to be drilled in the rims. So we've got the tube on the rim, and bearing in mind this is a brand new rim, there's only one hole in it, and that is for the valve hole. So I'm just going to position the tube so the valve hole is in line with the valve stem on the tube, and we're then going to have to drill some holes in the rim for the rim locks to be fitted, and it's lined up between the spokes here and at the spokes there. So all I'm going to do is mark on the rim the 2 points where the holes need drilling by rotating it round, and I can see the 2 points here between those 2 spokes. Just put a felt tip marker on it, rotate that one round and put a mark there. I'm then going to centre punch the 2 points. Nicely done. So we've now got those 2 points marked. I'm now going to do the same with the front wheel. Get the front wheel on and have a look at that. Now on this front rim, it's a used rim, so we've already got 2 holes drilled in it, one for the valve stem and one for a rim lock. And the valve stem and the rim lock hole on this side line up nicely. So all I need to do now is drill one more on the opposite side. And if we position it up, it's going to be here. So let's move this one round and mark, firstly with a marker pen. And then we'll centre punch it. That's okay. We'll just put the tubes out of the way. When you're drilling the hole, start off with a pilot drill first, something like a 5 or 6mm, and then we're going to finish off with a 9mm hole. I've also marked the other rim lock hole, which I'm going to open up to 9mm. It just goes without saying, when you've drilled your holes, use a file, just take any burrs off. So now we've done that, we'll have a little bit of a cleaning up session and then we'll go on to the next stage. The story so far is that we've got the rims drilled, we've drilled the holes out to 9mm, that's all the holes including the valve hole, but I've also put some tape around now. Bearing in mind these wheels have just been built recently, I just checked to make sure none of the spokes were poking out, and on a couple of the spokes I've had to use the flattening disc just to smooth them off. We're pretty ready to go now. I'll put the wheel down there. All we're going to do now is grease up the tubes. Now I'm going to be doing the front wheel first. Okay, now the grease we're using is silicone grease. Greaseil 4000, you get this from a company in Stockport. It's on the internet on eBay. It is quite expensive, it's like £16 for a 500 gram tub. But it's probably the best stuff to use. It's inert, it will not harm the rubber. I think the next best thing is rubber grease, that's red grease, because that's used on like brake seals and things like that. That won't harm rubber either, I believe. But don't think about using Vaseline, that's petroleum based, that starts breaking the rubber down. And Mousse Lube's good, but these are going to be in quite a while, these tubes, so we want grease on them, good quality grease, what's going to last and keep some lubrication in there. So let's get lubed up. So we've got the tube lubed up, all we're going to do now is put it in the tyre. Now the front tyre, this is a non-directional tyre, so it's important that when you are fitting the tubes, make sure you're putting the tube in the right way around, and obviously making sure the tyre's on the rim the right way as well. So but this is non-directional, so it doesn't really matter which way I put it in. So all we're going to do is slide that in, just push it in. It can be quite messy this. Be prepared to have plenty of gloves on hand and cleaning wipes as well. And whilst putting the tube in the tyre, we've now got a nice amount of grease on the tyre bead, which will help us fit the tyre onto the rim. So let's get on to the tyre changer. We'll put a fresh pair of gloves on first. So we're at the tyre changer. First thing we're going to need is some tyre levers on hand. We've got the rim lock nuts, and I've also got a washer which comes with it and a nut for the valve stem. Okay, so all we're going to do is insert the rim lock and the valve stem first into the rim. So all we're going to do is pull that section of tube out like so. That's enough. Line the tube up with the rim. Let's find the two holes which we've got here and here, so I'll move that round. I'm just going to put the valve stem in first. It's nice and easy. Just put the washer on. Put the nut on. Bear in mind you've got greasy hands with these rubber gloves. Just put it on. Just 5 or 6 threads, nothing more. Just so there's about 5mm showing. And then we'll just put the next one in, the rim lock in. So I'll just push it through and hold it. And just get the rim lock nut on, a few threads. So those 2 points are on, the rim lock and the valve nut. From here all we're going to do is push the bottom bead of the tyre onto the rim, like that, simple. So from here all we're going to do now is put the bottom bead on, and then we'll look at putting the second rim lock on. As you can see now, we've got a rim lock just poking through here. Now the main thing we don't want to do now is drag the threads of the rim lock over the rim of the wheel. So you can put a bit of a plastic bead buddy in there if you need to, if you've got one, or like I'm going to do, all we're going to do is take the tyre bar and slide it under the rim lock. It's over the rim, and all we're going to do is pull it back like so, nice and steady, and it will snap into the rim. And then from here we'll use two tyre levers. Just get those in, just so we can pull the tyre back and see where the rim lock is. So I can see the rim lock. All I'm going to do is push that down, move it to one side, push it forward, just hear it. It's just gone in nicely there. They generally just snap into place nice and freely, which it has done fairly well there. I'm quite happy with that. So all we'll do now is put that on. Just a few threads, just hold it in position, and then we'll get the next bead on. So that's the first wheel done. Before we start inflating it and doing the nuts, I'm now going to get the other tyre in to the same stage before we start doing the rim locks and inflating the tyre to pressure. So like the other tyre, this is it's non-directional. Just looking, it says here rotation in both directions, so it doesn't matter which way I put the tube in the tyre. So we'll get the tube in. Okay. So like before, like with the front tyre, we've got the valve here and the rim lock there. I'm just going to move it around, match the holes up. I've got my nuts on hand and the valve nut as well and the washer. So let's get these first two bits in. That's a few times, and all we're going to do now is just push the bottom bead of the tyre up to the rim, just easing the tube in like so, just getting that bottom bead to seat into the rim, which it has done nicely. So tyre bars, we'll get the first bead on. That is the first bead of the tyre on. Just a bit of filler then because I've got greasy hands with the tyre bars. Just got to take your time, be patient with it, and they'll go in nicely. So we'll just rotate the tyre. Just made a little mark on the rim, but it doesn't matter because them being silver rims, they polish up quite easily. A bit of emery cloth and that'll be like good as new. From here, like last time, to get the second rim lock in, just using the curvature of the tyre bar underneath, locking it in and just pulling down, and you can hear it just snap in there. That's what you want. Let's get two tyre bars now. So all we're going to do now is just check where the rim lock is, and when you're pulling the tyre down like so, you can see nicely into where the rim lock is. What I'm going to do is move the rim lock over slightly and that will just pop in like so, and hopefully it will just go in. And it's just showing, poking through, so all I'm going to do is just using the palm of my hand, give it a bash like that, and we're through. No damaged threads. So that's one side on now, complete with the rim locks and the valve being in position. So we'll now just get the other bead on. So that's 2 tyres on, 2 Lucioli tubes in. We're now going to look at inflating the tyres, and then we'll do the rim locks up. So with a 13mm deep socket, just tighten the valve screw down a little bit, just so you can get the air line on. And we'll just get the air line and get some air in it. So we've now got about 30 psi in. Just hold it onto the rim, get it in place, make sure it's all lined up nicely. And we'll now tighten up the rim locks to 10 Newton meters. To do that, I'm going to use a torque wrench. Let's see, and that's 10 Newton meters on there. And what we'll do now is just drop the air pressure down to about 12 psi. Okay, because it's road use, I've got it at 1 bar, that's about 12 to 14 psi thereabouts. You've got to be careful because these brass nuts are quite thin in terms of depth, so you need a deep socket really to fit them. Same again, we're just going to get it up to about 25-30 psi. Compressor just kicked in there, you can hear it. It's 30 psi. And we'll do again the rim locks up to 10 Newton meters. It's good. Just make sure the tyre's in the rim all the way around, and it is. So we'll just drop the pressure. It's the front tyre and it's going to be on the road initially. Do a little bit of road use. We'll just drop it down to about 15, I think. Okay, 15 psi in that. So that's 2 tyres and Lucioli tubes fitted onto these wheels. Quite a simple, straightforward process, provided you've got the right tools to do it. And what I like about these tubes is you can have that run flat effect. You can run them at 0 psi, and particularly with this hard tyre, I'm quite sure on off-road terrain I could run this at 0 psi all day and it wouldn't have any effect or detrimental impact on the tube. And then when you get onto road work, put a little bit of air into it, inflate it to the purpose that it's been used for. But quite happy with these. They are 125 quid each, which is comparable to a mousse. Some mousses are cheaper, some are about 95, some mousses are about 140, depending on what you go for. It's pros and cons what you put on your wheels for enduro, off-road use, whatever you're doing. If you want to give them a go, give us a call at Eurotek. We are the UK importer. If you don't want to use them, then that's fine. Use what you would normally go for. But Lucioli for me and the other 250 people that have bought these so far seem to be working. So now let's get them on the bike. So that's it, a nice afternoon's work in the workshop, tyres and tubes done, and I've also done the wheel bearings and fitted brand new brake discs as well. So where are we now? Well, I think we're just about ready for an MOT, so in the next episode we're going to be taking the bike for an MOT and a test ride. If you want to know more about this project, you can contact me at team.hensel@gmail.com or message me through the Hard Enduro Media Facebook page. And don't forget the discount you get at Eurotek Ktm on OEM parts, that's 15%. There's also some discount on some of the other products as well. But that's it from me at the moment. Stay tuned, Hard Enduro Media at Eurotek Ktm. See you soon.